Alright, so I just want to talk about Memorial Day and expose it as a fraud holiday pretty much. How they say Memorial Day is supposed to, pay tribute to the troops who gave their lives for our country and for our freedoms. Yet, on Memorial Day we have like barbecues and it's all centered around, uh, having some ribs or burgers and some maybe some baked beans, watermelon. Um, just right there, that just takes Memorial Day. Like when you think Fourth of July, Memorial Day, like all these holidays that are supposed to pay tribute to the people who gave their lives for the country. Um, or that's what they say. Oh, they gave their lives for our country and our freedoms. And I'll get into that later in the vid. But like it's all based around eating food. I mean, that's what most people think, or a lot of people think when they hear Fourth of July, fireworks, barbecues. When we should be paying tribute to the heroes who gave their lives for our country. I mean, those are legitimate heroes standing at the front lines, of combat, fighting the British soldiers, and it really gives you goosebumps. I mean, talking about it, it gives me goosebumps right now just talking about those people that gave their lives for our country. I mean, in our today's society, people like, Justin Bieber, Miley Cyrus, all these other celebrities are regarded as like heroes and gods when the real heroes are those people who gave up their lives for our freedoms. So all these holidays are just centered around parties, fireworks, getting drunk and having a great old time. Yeah. But anyway, they say, oh, the veterans in the military, you know, they talk about, Reese Lake back in 1776. Yes, they did give their lives for our freedoms. But now they say, oh, they're giving their lives for our freedoms. That is the most ridiculous fucking statement I've ever heard. Let's look at 9/11. Ever since 9/11, whether you think it's an inside job or not, our civil liberties are no more. You got Border Patrol now inside of America, not on the borders. You got checkpoints in America checking to see if you're a citizen. Are you fucking? That's bullshit right there. You got the Patriot Act, which basically gives the government a right to invade your house without a search warrant. I mean, you get people just running into your house now without a search warrant. It's on video. They did that during the Boston bombings. You get the NSA spying on you illegally. So that when they say they're fighting for our freedoms, that's bullshit. I'm going to quote Jesse Ventura here. The supposed terrorists have won. Their goals were, they were jealous of our freedoms, and their goals were to take away our freedoms. Well, they've won. They are successful, and they have defeated us, even though our people like to think that we've defeated them. They have defeated us. This supposed terrorism, which isn't really terrorism. Even the New York Times admits the FBI hatches terrorism plots and plans them. So, I mean, this supposed terrorism is mostly fueled by our own government. I mean, even the New York Times says that. But, people will still say, oh, they give their lives for our freedom. No, they don't. Um, they are heroes, though. They think a lot of them, a lot of them are awake, though. And, I hear a lot of them talking bad about the government and exposing the government. So a lot of them are awake to government corruption. But a lot of them, think they're fighting for good and they're fighting for freedom in America, when that is a total lie. I mean, you look at every war since, every major war we've been in since World War II, with Vietnam. Started with a false flag operation, telling us that the Gulf of Tonkin incident happened when it didn't. And then it led to, and that's declassified. You cannot debate that. Gulf of Tonkin incident did not happen. They lied about it. That led to them passing the Gulf of Tonkin resolution, which led to the president basically saying, oh, we could send troops into Vietnam. It's up to him and not Congress. And then eventually led, people were people realized that was a big fucking mistake, because LBJ just kept, kept the Vietnam War going, and the Vietnam War kept going. So eventually, I think it was called, I'm almost positive on this, the War Powers Act, which took those powers away from the president. And then more Afghanistan. I mean, 9/11, probably a staged event there, probably an inside job. I mean, the whole story is bullshit. The whole 9/11 story, and I think it was an inside job. You know, even the 9/11 commission, the head of the 6 of the 10 commissioners who wrote the 9/11 commission say the whole fucking story's a fraud. So I mean, how much more do you need to know? The whole fucking story's a fraud. And the head guy, I think it was the head guy, I know one of them did, but one of the 9/11 commissioners wrote a whole book on how the 9/11 commission was a complete fraud. So I mean, that's just one of the reasons that says 9/11 was that 9/11 was an inside job. Or there's the whole story though. You better agree that that story is not, that the story doesn't, there's a lot of loose ends with the story. And we're still there. Obama said that he would get us out of the wars. We're not out of the wars. We're still there. And we're still there getting, what did they find in Afghanistan? Lithium. They found lithium worth $1 trillion in Afghanistan. Lithium is used in computers, electric cars, cell phones, $1 trillion worth. So why do you think we're really there, people? You think we're still there to fight terrorism? Terrorism's killed like 10 or 15 Americans, something like that, since 9/11. So yeah, better defeat those terrorists that kill about one person every year. Yeah, I gotta, they make us so afraid of terrorism, when there's a ton of more issues in the world that we just aren't afraid of, that are like thousands of times more likely to kill us than fucking terrorists. And to say that we're the terrorists, some people are like, oh, there's no terrorist attacks because the troops are there, and we've done the TSA. I mean, that is the TSA is a fucking fraud. You could easily get by there if you're a fucking terrorist. And again, I'll say it, terrorism's not even, most of it's hatched by the FBI, terrorism's like 9/11, inside job. So terrorism's not really real. This threat of terrorism is a complete fraud. And then we go to Iraq, which they said, oh, there's ties to Al Qaeda in Iraq and there's WMDs in Iraq, which was more lies, more fucking lies. And you got Halliburton, Dick Cheney's company. Yeah, Dick Cheney. He is what his first name is, a Dick. Says or his company Halliburton made $39.5 billion in the Iraq War. So you get all these companies like Halliburton profiting, and you get and we go to all these wars because of the military-industrial complex, which is basically the relationship between the government and the people who make supplies for war. Dwight D. Eisenhower made it in 1950s or 60s, I want to say. He made it, but he did warn us about it, and now it's coming back to bite us in the ass. It's a machine, and you gotta have something to fuel that machine, and what fuels the machine is war. So we need to be at war to keep the military-industrial complex going. So all these wars, they say, oh, you fight it for freedom. You fight it, that's bullshit. We don't fight it for freedom. We fight it for corporations, and we fight it for politicians like Dick Cheney who want to get rich. That's who we're fighting for. So when I see people crying, saying, oh, they're fighting for our freedoms, yeah, they are heroes, and it just makes me sad when you see a guy, who's got his arm blown off or leg blown off or some serious injury or died, and to know that that person died for a corporation. I mean, that just makes me so fucking sick. And those people are victims of government corruption and our corruption in America. I truly feel bad for all those people who have died and given their lives. But at the same time, you could put an American flag on your lawn all you want, but going on YouTube or whatever and talking about government corruption is 1,000 times more powerful than putting a fucking flag on your fucking porch. All right, people think they're so great because they put a flag on their porch. When people should be exposing the government and its corruption and watching the government to make sure it's not doing, or to make sure it's doing its job, which it's clearly not. So, yeah, to wrap this video up, again, the main thing, I guess, with Memorial Day, you're supposed to pay tribute to the troops, which I do feel bad for all of them who've died and their family members because of government corruption and lies. But at the same time, we have to realize the government and what they're doing. We got to expose them at the same time. We just can't eat ribs and put flags on our porches and say we love the troops. We got to do more than that, and we got to expose the government. So yeah, Memorial Day and all these wars are big frauds. Terrorism's a fraud. Going into a country and fighting a war does not stop the bad guys. If anything, it'll just escalate the situation. Again, a terrorist can very easily sneak through TSA. People have accidentally snuck through TSA. I mean, that one person got in like the wheel of a jet, without even going through TSA. So it's pretty easy for a terrorist if he wants to come over and do a bomb, plan a bomb. It's pretty easy for them to do that, And it's just Ventura said, I'll take my chances with the bad guys as opposed to getting my liberties taken away. And I think it was Benjamin Franklin who said, those who take away their liberties for security deserve neither. And I truly believe that. And when one person does something bad, that does not mean the whole country should have their liberties and their freedoms taken away. So again, I pay tribute to all those people who have died or get injured because of government corruption. But we got to expose the truth, expose the government as liars and frauds. So there you go, people.